Hello everyone, Farah Nazir from the Department of Education, Hazara University, Mansehra is here. So, this video is for the teaching practice 1 B.Ed 1.5 class. So, the topic we are going to discuss today is the big picture in your classroom, focusing the instruction in a social kaleidoscope. So, let's begin. So the presentation overview, first we are going to discuss the holistic instructional cycle and then the holistic instructional considerations, and then we are going to discuss the three perspectives on instructional decision making, that is like the developmental perspective, behavioral perspective and cognitive perspective. So let's begin by discussing the holistic instructional cycle. So before going to the discuss the holistic view of instruction, I want to point out the word social kaleidoscope. So the term social kaleidoscope point out to the the diverse and the diverse and a very different kind of situation about students in the classroom. Like, you will be clear about this concept when you will go through the content, that in a classroom a lot of things takes place, and the things are associated with a lot of other things. So for example, if a student behavior is different, or he's like behavior is not appropriate, so it is like associated with maybe some any kind of event at home, so or some other aspects. So that's why the author has given it a term social kaleidoscope. So let's begin a holistic view of instruction. So instruction is the one of the most important ingredient or aspect of the teaching learning process. So a teacher must have must need to think of the different aspects that can impact the teaching and learning of students. So these aspects can be like the student motivation, students, the content that the content is according to the needs of the students, according to their mental level, or the instructional strategies that a teacher is using that is relevant to the students. So holistic teaching, it's like the big picture plus detailed implementation. So like the big picture is like the learner and all the other aspects, and the detailed implementation is like the teacher developing lesson plans and developing the objectives, choosing the instructional strategies or materials. So this is the detailed implementation. So this diagram, it points out to the it gives the four aspects, the relationship between four aspects, like the at the center is the learner. So the learner has instructional needs, social needs, motivation, commitment. These are the important aspects related to a learner for his learning to take place. And then there are the procedural aspects. A teacher is involved in that, as well as students are involved. In the procedural aspects, there are planning, the lesson planning or the classroom planning, and then the lesson designs, how teacher designs lessons, and then the classroom dynamics, how diverse is the classroom, what's the grade level, like what are the level of students, is this a multi-grade classroom, and then the instructional techniques, what type of strategies a teacher is using in the classroom, and then the assessment of learning, how the teacher will assess student learning, implementation of state standards, like there are certain standards that a teacher need to follow in all the aspects. What are these standards? And then come the attitudinal aspects: equity, active learning, supportive environments, commitments. These are the attitudinal aspects that are related to the learners, like that are the important aspects that the teachers treats should treat all students with equity. Like there's a difference between the two aspects, equity and equality. Equality means like providing all the individual the same thing. So, and the equity is providing the learners what they need. So a teacher need to make sure that the learners needs are met. And then the active learning, like teacher need to cater the needs of students. And learning shouldn't be passive, that teacher shouldn't be the like the all in all in the classroom. Student need to be the active part of the process, and the supporting environments and the commitments. These are all the aspects, the attitudinal aspects. And then the learning perspectives: developmental, behavioral, and cognitive. So we will discuss these perspectives in detail in the next slides. So the holistic instructional consideration, these are the related to that model. These are the some questions that a teacher need to consider for his classroom or for planning his instruction. What is my instructional purpose or goal? Like what are the objectives that teacher has set for that concept or that lesson? Who are the learners? What are their cognitive level? What is their age? Like what are the instructional needs? What prerequisite knowledge is needed? Like if a teacher is teaching a concept, what is the prerequisite knowledge that a teacher needs to teach the student, or the student should have in order to learn the concept? How will I cover the content? Like in what way teacher will cover the content? That whether the students will do readings, or the teacher will teach some aspects of direct instruction, or the, the project method will be used. What management decisions must I take? Like how the teacher will manage the classroom, like whether students will work in groups or individual learning. So what techniques or processes do I use? What will the strategies? How will I share responsibilities with others? This is the concept that's related to like making students responsible for their learning. Are students like participating with other students in and helping other students in their learning? What instructional resources do we have? Like do we have a classroom? Do we have multimedia? Do we have facilities to explore and use the external resources? Like, do we have a library? Do we have access to museums or these aspects? What special student consideration must I take into account? Do we have some kind of student that have some special needs? A teacher need to consider this aspect as well. How can I ensure instructional equity? That I described earlier, that the term equity and equality, they are two different terms. So how the teacher, like what will the strategies that a teacher will use so that to ensure that each student's instructional needs are met, and maybe the teacher needs some external support from other teachers or the co-teacher. What state standards must be addressed? Like what are the standards that are that the experts have decided for a specific grade level or for a specific content? How the states what the standards are, and how the teacher will make sure that the state standards are met. How will I assess learning? This is the one, the key aspect, and it is the how will I assess learning? It is like directly related to instructional purpose or goal. So these are the different holistic instructional consideration.